And we have to do things to make them think about us. And one of the ways we do it is we usually go on walks with their food. So we have a little Ziploc bag of whatever their meal is, and we feed them during the walks, because then we're way more interesting than the environment. Because seriously, if it's you versus the environment, like a chicken bone, a pine cone, a squirrel, like who wins that game? Welcome back to another episode of Dog Sense. I'm Kathy Santo, and I'm here with my co-host, Sarah.
Hey, everyone. Today, we have a pretty interesting one. So it's a question that we get asked often, but we wanted to kind of highlight it because it's every puppy owner probably has this issue. Even if they don't ask us about it, we know they're probably experiencing it.
Yeah. And it's that my puppy eats everything on the ground. We want to assure you that this is normal. Puppies explore the world with their mouth, probably because they can't use iPhones. So they pick up everything, and it's very, very natural. But natural doesn't mean okay. Yep. It just means that everybody else who has a puppy is probably going through the same things that you are. So we're here to give you a few of our best tips and tricks to help you manage and navigate this stage, which, by the way, it is a stage. So you're going to be okay.
Well, we want to make sure it stays a stage, right? We don't want this to become something that then when your dog is still 6 months old, they're still picking up everything off the ground. So it is something that you want to nip in the bud like right away. It'll take a little bit of work on your part, but as long as you're consistent, your dog will learn. It's never going to be successful. I'm never going to be able to pick anything up off the ground without some kind of communication back from my owner that indicates that wasn't something that she wanted and that it's just not successful.
And anytime Sarah and I have a new student and they submit a form and their name is Hoover or Roomba, we know. We don't even have to read what their problems are. We know it is this. So let's start with what we just said, which is it's not uncommon. They're exploring the world around them. That's how they've done it since they were born. And we have to do things to make them think about us. And one of the ways we do it is we usually go on walks with their food. So we have a little Ziploc bag of whatever their meal is, and we feed them during the walks, because then we're way more interesting than the environment. Because seriously, if it's you versus the environment, like a chicken bone, a pine cone, a squirrel, like who wins that game? The environment. So you need to be super interesting. But we do have some games that we play with puppies and dogs who are doing this that really, really help.
Yeah, so blocking is going to be one of the first ones. It's one of the easiest ones as well. And one of the reasons why it works is because you use your foot to block the dog from picking whatever it is up on the ground. And because when you're out on a walk, your foot is always there. It's something that the dog just kind of learns and will choose not to pick something off the ground on their own almost, instead of you having to say, leave it or drop it or out. And we'll get to that. But initially from the beginning. So what it looks like is, okay, so you go out on your walk, you have your awesome food, you're being engaging, you're trying to make sure keep your dog's attention up on you and not on the ground around them. Of course, if they have to go potty or something, tell them, okay, let them go sniff and potty. But then once we start walking again, anytime I see their nose go towards the ground and they're heading towards, goose poop or a stick or a leaf, whatever it is, I'm then going to use my foot closest to them to block in between them and that object. Then I'm going to take my foot away and I'm going to let the puppy make a choice. Are you going to try to pick up that stick again? Or are you going to look up to me and be like, hey, what do you want me to do? Then I'm going to mark and reward that, right? So I'm going to build value for the puppy making the right choice in that moment by not trying to then pick up that stick. But I'm also going to give them some context clues that I didn't want them to pick up the stick in the first place, right? So if they go to pick up that stick again, I'm going to block it again, put my foot in between the puppy and the stick, take it away again, let them make a choice, right? And as long as you're consistent, the puppy will learn. Doesn't matter what it is on the ground. It could be a plastic bag. It could be, a hamburger that someone threw out the window. It could be anything. But the puppy is never going to be successful. And again, you have to keep your eye on them, right? You're not on your cell phone. You're not like doing other things on this walk. When you're on a walk with your puppy, you're paying attention to them.
And to your point about giving them context clues, that's so important, because I know a lot of people, they just want to stop and say nothing. And I think that's horrible. It's horrible not to give your dog feedback and say yes or no, right? Like, can you imagine if you're driving, you got like Waze going and you're saying, Waze, take me here. And then you make a wrong turn and Waze says nothing.
Right.
And then 3 hours down the road, you're jazzed and you're like, where am I? And they're like, oh, yeah, that was wrong. Like, I want to know. I want to know right away. And then I can improve my performance. So, yeah, it's really important. And we also create engagement with ourselves. I want to be the funnest thing on the walk. So, the puppy sniffing and I'll say, oh, Rover, or whatever their name is, and run back. Like, I do a lot of fun games. So I'm the most fun on the walk. I also honor the fact that some dogs are very oral. So I have walking toys. And I remember my golden opal when I lived in Florida. I had a stuffed Dumbo, and then it was stuffed Minnie, like whatever. These they just fit in her mouth. And it would be on top of the refrigerator. I know, it was beautiful house decor. And before I go for a walk, I would hand her that toy. And she never got it unless she was walking. So she would never let go of that toy. And she carried her whole entire walk. Now, if it was really hot and she had to stop to pant, she'd drop it and pant, but she'd stand by it. Like, I'm going to get this in a second. Just give me a break. So you can give them something else to do that you approve of with their mouth versus picking up everything on the planet.
Yep. So, and only other thing is, okay, so now they do pick up, let's say you're not quick enough, they get around your foot, they pick up that stick. Now, we also don't want to create a negative association to you having to then go grab something out of their mouth, right? So that's where then your treats come in, right? You have that little treat pouch on you that has their meal on it, some extra high value stuff. Take out your high value stuff, offer a trade for that item. But then the next time around, you don't want to do that every single time, because some puppies will then pick up on, oh, the way I get that high value treat is if I pick up the stick, mom's then going to trade me, right? So the next part of this is you just need to get better eyes on your puppy. And if they're really quick with their mouths, maybe you walk in the middle of the road, and right, you don't walk next to the wooded path or whatever it is. But when you do need to take something out of their mouth, again, you're not mad, you're not angry, you offer the trade and you start to teach that out command so that you can then use it when you need it.
Right. And we also do a lot of body handling. And one of the games we teach is open. Open is our favorite exercise for letting your dog know it's cool when you put your hand in his mouth. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing, because we never want your dog to guard what they picked up. But speaking of those super fast dogs or those super low dogs, right?
Yeah.
Dachshund, man, it's an inch away. How are you going to beat the dachshund to the ground? The answer is, you're not, unless perhaps, well, with training, it'll happen. But until the training is there, that's when the head collars win the day. The gentle leaders, the halties. And I know they're a pain in the neck, and sometimes it takes a little while to teach the dog, and they're not forever. It's just a tool. But all right. So I had a student, and she lived in the city, and she lived in a little apartment over the chicken and rib restaurant. And so when she would take her dog for a walk, there were hundreds of chicken and rib bones on the sidewalks. People literally thought her dog's name was Leave It, because that was what she would say as she was getting down the stairs and on the sidewalk. So we switched to a gentle leader for that transition piece. And then it gave her relief. And then once the dog was trained and knew not to grab things off the ground, it wasn't an issue. We could ditch the leader, but it really helped her get through it.
For serious issues, right? For dogs who maybe you do have a dog who does resource guard, because I have a couple clients like this. They have dogs who resource guard, and they're like, what is it called? Pika, when they pick up everything off the ground, not fully diagnosed, but it looks like it, where they're just picking up everything and then they're guarding it. So it then gets dangerous. So in those situations, you can we do muzzle conditioning either way with a dog for when they are hurt, when they do have a serious injury, but you can also muzzle condition your dog to go on walks. Again, in this training phase where we are working on the guarding separately, if you need the muzzle to help, again, they can pant, they can take treats, but they won't be able to get a whole stick in their mouth through the muzzle, right? So that's another option for safety.
Yeah, no shame in muzzles. And you know what? They have some that are super cute.
They do. The biothane ones, they got colored ones. They're cool.
Yeah. So it's, again, you're keeping your dog safe. There's a lot of bacteria in like goose poop and rabbit poop. If you have a cereal grabber and you're working on it, this is a good interim to do. So you don't wind up at the vet clinic and the dog doesn't wind up with a sick belly all the time.
Exactly.
All right, Sarah. So I think we covered it. You guys know what to do now. Get your walking toys, bring something super high value on the walks, and be on alert for any, and you know what precedes the grabbing? It's the looking. Dogs are awesome because they're going to look at what they want before they do it. So when you see them focusing in on something, go in and interrupt.
So that was another awesome episode. We went over everything that you can do to help prevent your puppy from eating everything outside. So as always, if you have any questions, you can always email us, info@kathysanto.com. We always love to hear from you guys, any feedback you have or any further questions. And we'll see you guys next week.